Hi, this is Ilka Cassidy with Passive House Accelerator, and thanks for tuning in to the special bonus episode of the Passive House podcast recorded at the Sustainability Symposium 24 in Philadelphia. We're at the Sustainability Symposium in Philadelphia, and it is organized and hosted by GBU, Green Building United. And I'm here with Rich Freeh. Can you introduce yourself and tell us what you do?
Absolutely. So my name is Rich Freeh, he, him pronouns. I am Green Building United's Executive Director. I'll tell you a little bit about Green Building United. So for folks who aren't familiar, we are a Philadelphia-based regional nonprofit. We work across southeastern Pennsylvania, the Lehigh Valley in Pennsylvania, and the state of Delaware. We've been around for about 20 years. So we were formed as the Delaware Valley Green Building Council. So we were a local chapter of the U.S. Green Building Council. So for many years, that was our primary affiliation. We could talk a little bit later about the sort of transition that we went into where we became Green Building United. But right now we are an 8-person nonprofit with a membership base of almost 300 individual and corporate folks who are working on the design, construction, and operation of high-performance buildings across our region. So Green Building United as an entity, we have 3 focus areas. So we focus on policy and advocacy. So we are working to foster an environment where there is more of those high-performing buildings by working on things like building codes across our region, by working on performance standards for new construction and existing buildings, working on community resilience. So all of those are part of our policy portfolio. We do direct program implementation, so we have grants and contracts to work with building owners and operators on the ground to help them set and achieve sustainability goals for their buildings. And lastly, we're a membership organization, so we do events throughout the year for our members. The biggest of those is our Sustainability Symposium, which we're at today. But we also have events that are topic specific throughout the year, which we co-host with our communities, which we have 4 of, including a Passive House community.
Great, thank you. GBU has quite an interesting little history. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, sure. So as I alluded to, we used to have a different name. We were the Delaware Valley Green Building Council. And over the course of particularly the 2010s, here in the greater Philadelphia region, there's really this groundswell, I think, of folks looking at what does sustainability and high performance in buildings mean, and coming at it from different places. And of course, I'm sure as your listeners know, there are a number of different standards and approaches for thinking about that, including a couple related to Passive House, including the Living Building Challenge. And so what we started to see was in the Philadelphia region, there were a couple of groups who were coming together and saying, we all have pretty similar goals. We were looking at these, different standards and different approaches from different ways. Is there a way for us to work together? And so over the course of several years, Delaware Valley Green Building Council members, along with members of some of these other groups, worked to figure out, could they come together? And they were able to do so and formed Green Building United, which became its own entity in 2017. Is now incorporated as Green Building United, its own 501c3, incorporating the leadership and ideas of those different groups, including Passive House, including Living Future, Living Building Challenge, as well as continuing a relationship and partnership with the U.S. Green Building Council.
Yeah, that's great. And I was actually a part of the Passive House group before everyone joined forces. And I just thought it was such a great idea because we were all these fairly small groups focusing on different certification goals. But I think just realizing that we can do so much more if we don't just focus on one thing, but see everything a little bit from a broader perspective and join forces, I think has helped GBU quite a bit to grow and also look at what's next.
Yeah, absolutely. So and would just affirm everything you said. I think I joined Green Building United about 2 years ago as our executive director, and I've been just so amazed by the level of work that is happening in our different communities, the level of technical knowledge, the level of understanding, and the level of ambition that we see across Green Building United's membership. And I think you see that happening here at the Sustainability Symposium, where folks are really highlighting the projects, the programs that they're developing, that they've constructed, that they're starting to operate, that are really driving performance. That being said, you asked about what's next, and I think, you have to look at, why are we doing this work? And, I come from a background in climate action. I am very focused on, the city and the region's climate goals. How do we achieve net zero? How do we achieve, what the science tells us we need to do, which is to move as fast as possible to stay as close to that 1.5 degrees Celsius warming that we know we're already seeing here in Philadelphia and across the world. So really what we are focused on is how do we scale that action, looking at the projects and the great work that's happening here as models that can be taken from an individual project level, working across our programs to use those lessons learned to educate folks who are maybe just getting started and setting sustainability goals for the first time, to help them understand you don't need to start from ground zero. There's actually great models out there of how do you make a shelter as close to net zero as possible. We just saw a presentation on that this morning. How do you work with the technologies that are emerging? How do you take advantage of the Inflation Reduction Act, which is this amazing federal funding opportunity that's just now becoming available in many ways across the region and across the country. So really looking at how do we take the leading practices that Greenbuilding United members are championing and scale those across the region, and doing that through our program work, doing that through our policy work as well, and educating policymakers and elected officials across our region. Again, this is possible, right? Folks come and they say, well, we've set this net zero target, or we want to be carbon neutral by 2050. How do you actually do it? Greenbuild United members, listeners of your podcast, they know how to do that, right? They're on the front lines of designing, constructing, and operating buildings that are the buildings that we need to meet those goals. And so really it's about how do we scale that action? How do we make sure that folks know those models are out there? And how do we ultimately, provide the funding and set the regulations to make our region on the path that we need to be to meet the commitments that we've set and to follow the science.
And one thing that GBU has done, or in particular the Passive House group, is come up with the Passive House Row House Manual, which is a pretty amazing little book and available online. And we're going to have Paul Thompson talk a little bit more about that. The other thing that GBU does is the symposium every year, and it's been very, very successful. It's been going on since 2001, I think.
Yeah, at least I think it's our 14th symposium this year.
And it's sold out again.
It's sold out again. Yeah, we have almost 500 sustainability professionals, practitioners, educators, students, lifelong learners are here at Temple University today. And it's a really fantastic event. I'm, of course, biased, but before I joined Greenbuilding United, I was a regular attendee of this symposium, and I really feel like it's a highlight of the year. Because it's a couple of things. It is this showcase of what does best practice and high performance look like, not just in our region, but we have, folks coming in this year from Pittsburgh and DC and Los Angeles talking about what best practice looks like in their region. So you get that technical piece, get those issue experts, but it's also a space for networking and connection. And so we very intentionally build into the program opportunities for folks to do that informal conversation. Hey, what are you working on? Can we find ways to partner? And, I hear from folks every year, wow, I made this great connection at the Sustainability Symposium, and it changed the course of a project that I was working on, or it changed the course of, I've had folks say that it changed the course of their careers, that they actually are working in a different part of the field than they were based on a conversation or a session that they attended at the symposium. So it's a really fantastic way for folks to both formally through these technical presentations, but also informally through conversation, networking, and shared learning, really figure out how do we work together in this really intentional an intersectional way towards the goals that we've set as a community.
Yeah, and I feel like that really shows in the sessions that are being presented today. And we're actually going to have a couple of episodes after this episode where we're really investigating what are the sustainability goals of a project. Is it going through certification? Maybe not. How are you being held accountable? Or is it looking at several certification goals and seeing how that works all together in synergy? So that's something that I find really interesting. The other topic that's also very interesting is very Philadelphia specific, and it's about row houses. We're looking at row houses in Philadelphia and Baltimore, and we're going to hear about those in following episodes as well. So for the symposium over the last so many years since you've been attending and being the director of GBU, have you seen any change in topics or presentations or focuses?
Yeah, that's such a good question. I think what we've seen is a recognition that, we need these high performance models of what, what best looks like. And so you see more and more focuses on passive house design and construction. You see more and more focuses on, we're really lucky in our region. We have the first Living Building Challenge Core certified building, I think, in the world, Muhlenberg College in our region. So you see sort of these opportunities and models of what best looks like. And you also see more and more conversation around programming and scale. So how do you take those lessons learned and build them into programs? So there's a couple of sessions today that the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania is running, one that the Delaware Valley Regional Planning Commission is running with GBU. We're working together on a regional benchmarking program. We're really trying to take these models and the information that's out there and figure out how do we get this to more people, not just the folks, who are coming to the Sustainability Symposium, but, in Philadelphia, you mentioned row houses. There's 500,000 row houses, right? That's a lot of work. How do we get from where we are now to all of those buildings, all of those homes, not just being retrofitted for, energy efficiency and climate resilience, but health, safety, well-being? How do we make sure that there's a workforce that's trained who knows how to do that? How do we make sure we're taking equity into account? And, in Philadelphia, really thinking about, how are we tackling the endemic challenges and systemic racism that continues to be an impact on an experience in folks' lives. I think those are all topics that increasingly are part of the conversation at the symposium.
So, Sangeetha, you are also a board member of GBU, and you're a practicing architect at WRT, and you're also the chair of the host committee of Greenbuild, which is coming to Philadelphia in the fall. So why don't you introduce yourself and tell us what you do?
Sure. Thank you, Ilka, for having me here. Excited to be here. Yeah, I'm Sangeetha Sambandam. I work for WRT. So WRT is an interdisciplinary design firm. We're a group of planners, urban designers, architects, and landscape architects working to create transformative project and impact. So I'm a project manager in the architecture practice and particularly in housing. And most of my projects have been affordable, multifamily affordable housing projects, and some of them certified to passive house standards.
Great. So you've been a GBU board member for a little bit, but member and, part of the passive house group for many, many years. What got you interested and how did you decide to join the board?
Yeah, thank you. So WRT was a founding partner of Green Building United, then Delaware Valley Green Building Council. So since then, we've been a strategic partner supporting Green Building United. And I had the opportunity to join the board Jan 2022. And so I'm excited to be on the board, basically to collaborate with many other passionate individuals working to advocate, educate, also strategize and regionally transform to a more sustainable healthy, resilient, and equitable built environment. So that's the overarching goal, I would say. So yeah, very excited to be part of this great group of individuals.
Great. And then, yeah, Greenbuild is coming to Philadelphia, so very, very exciting. And GBU is a big part of that, in particularly you, because you're both actually chairs of the host committee. So what's happening right now and what is going to happen in the fall? What are we going to look forward to?
Sure. So this is Rich Freeh again. So what is happening right now is a lot of planning and preparation for this fall. So over the next month or two, you will see Greenbuild announcing the sessions and tours for this fall here in Philadelphia. They're going to be great. I know we've seen a preview of the tours at least. I think the sessions are still being finalized. But it's a really exciting program this year. This will be Greenbuild's first time back in Philadelphia since 2013. And a lot has changed in Philadelphia since 2013, as we talked about. So I think it's a really great time for the conference to return here. We're really excited to be welcoming folks from across the country and across the world. And really the role of the host committee is exactly as it says, to think about how do we intentionally welcome those folks? So thinking about, what is Philadelphia and Greater Philadelphia's role in terms of tours, potentially planning some events as part of the overall conference, and really working closely with the U.S. Green Building Council and Informa, which is the conference owners, to make sure that, folks are aware of the opportunities to participate, and again, that we're really representing the great work of our region at the conference.
First, I'm honored to be selected as co-chair with Rich here. And I know, Ilka, you're part of this diverse group of individuals on the host committee, excited to be collaborating once again. And I'm personally excited that for the first time there's collaboration happening at Greenbuild this year with FIAS, which is Passive House Institute US. So that is very exciting to me that it's happening in Philadelphia. And another area of holistic thing, what I am seeing out there is the past few years we've seen a lot of industry alignment and collaboration across. I was at Greenbuild in Washington, D.C. last year, and they released the ECHO, Embodied Carbon Harmonization and Optimization platform. So what that is it is a group of industry groups collaborating towards a common goal to reduce embodied carbon in the built environment by ensuring that reporting at whole building and whole project scale follows the same guidelines and scope. And similarly, coming off the Living Future conference a few weeks ago in Atlanta this year, I heard about the common goal and industry alignment for building materials and collaborating towards a sustainable, healthy, and ethical material specification. So that's personally exciting that all these different industry groups and nonprofits are kind of working towards this common goal of human health and wellness and planet health. And so that's, I think, very great to see that kind of shift and push, and that we can all together move the needle to positively impact. And overall, it is exciting to be, I think, just a great time to be a professional in the built environment. Yes, I do acknowledge that there are challenges and a lot of disruptions. That being said, we're also seeing so much research and data come out, highlighting the benefits of all these interdependent design strategies and design systems, and seeing that positive impacts beyond project boundaries. That's a theme I'm seeing. It's not, you can go beyond your project site and have a larger impact to have this positive impact happening for holistic and resilient, for an overall holistic and resilient approach. So I'm personally looking forward to more of this learning at Greenbuild 2024 in Philadelphia, and of course, meeting more passionate individuals. Yeah.
So what part does FIAS play within Greenbuild 2024?
This is just to give that level 100 level of education to the larger audience at Greenbuild. And the Passive House Standard does a great job in providing that first level of planet health and human health, meaning does a great job of reducing that operational carbon and also getting that filtered indoor air. So that is a requirement to have a balanced ventilation system. So it's great that USGBC is recognizing the potential in that standard. So yeah, that's exciting to me.
Yeah, and it's probably a really nice supplement to LEED projects as well, because LEED has a requirement for energy efficiency. So the more you know about Passive House principles, the more energy efficient you can make a LEED project. And the same accounts for Living Building Challenge and all of the other certification goals. So going back to your point, it's really nice that you see all these certifications kind of come together and making a whole and not just being parts.
Yeah, definitely. There's so many synergies across these different standards. And I know like LEED version 5 is striving to be more holistic. There's more of biophilia going to be integrated. There's more of inclusive design. So it's so nice to see all like the common synergies between all these standards coming together in certain aspects.
Great. Yeah, I'm certainly looking forward to Greenbuild in the fall, and I'm sure we'll see each other again there. Thank you so much.